had the opportunity to welcome him back to the United States.
Yeah.
He sold most of his stock, 80%, as on that date.
We have requested the management to come and speak to us. They asked us, what questions will you ask? We've sent it to them. They don't want to answer it, so then let's put it to our viewers as well.
7 key questions, right? How is it that 2,000 crore goes unnoticed by all of these auditors?
Is seeking more information on the trades and the all the transaction which has happened from the exchanges, both NSE and BSE.
The Reserve Bank of India's supervisory officers, they are seeking compliance reports on their foreign currency borrowings by these banks.
The DSS is actively engaging with the Reserve Bank of India to sort of ensure the thorough examination of the matter. And
hello and welcome to NDTV. I am Ankit. Let's quickly take you to the headlines we are tracking at top of 2. Justice for Chaitanya, NDTV's campaign. The NDTV speaks to the family, recounts the 3-month ordeal that the girl went through, says needs strict punishment against the warden. NDTV reports from Kerala. Kunal Kamra comment controversy continues. Day 2 of the demolition drive at the venue where Kunal Kamra had performed. BMC officials once again start demolition. Actor and BJP MP Kangana Ranaut hits out at Kunal Kamra and says action against Kunal Kamra legal. BJP government 1 lakh crore budget for Delhi, 500 crore allocated for cleaning of the Jamuna river. Flash cloud justice. Now Rajya Sabha chair calls for a meeting. Dhankar to meet with fellow leaders of the parties. Rajya Sabha chairman says critical, serious issue needs to be discussed. Meeting of the Joint Parliamentary Committee on One Nation, One Election. Attorney General, former Delhi Chief Justice to depose before the panel today. Starting with the latest coming in on the money that was found, the burnt cash that was recovered from the premises of Justice Verma, the Delhi High Court judge. Now, a 3-member panel is at Justice Verma's residence. This is the probe committee, which is, remember, now constituted by the Supreme Court, in which also has members of the Delhi High Court. Justices from the Delhi High Court are part of this committee. And at this moment, ladies and gentlemen, the 3-member panel is at Justice Verma's residence. Remember, this is the place where this entire controversy took place, at one of the storehouse, the outhouse of Justice Verma, Yashwant Verma's residence, of his official residence in the national capital. And this is where, there were those burnt notes which were recovered after a fire was reported on the day of the Holi festival.
हरियाणा हाई कोर्ट के चीफ जस्टिस हैं, हिमाचल प्रदेश कोर्ट के चीफ जस्टिस हैं और कर्नाटक के जो जज हैं, उन तीनों पैनल में ऐसे आए थे यहाँ पे। क्या क्या बातें हुई? क्या बात हुई? जस्टिस वर्मा से मुलाकात हुई क्या? जस्टिस वर्मा से मुलाकात तकरीबन जो है 20 से 25 मिनट वो अंदर थे। जस्टिस वर्मा से क्या मुलाकात हुई, क्या बातें हुई? जस्टिस वर्मा ने क्या कहा? जस्टिस वर्मा घर के अंदर थे सर? जरा बताएंगे आप मुझे? 3-member panel की जो कमेटी थी वो अभी अंदर गई थी जस्टिस वर्मा के।
My colleague Nupur, who's joining us with more details on this. Nupur, this is quite an embarrassing situation that is unfolding, of course, since the time this story came to light. Now, the 3-member panel at Justice Verma's residence, what are you picking up from your sources?
Well,
the panel has, in fact, from today started its probe. The 3 judges from high courts were in fact appointed on this task, and they have been in fact notified in their respective high courts that they would not be sitting in their high courts, as since the Supreme Court Collegium has assigned this work to them of investigation. Today is the first day of investigation, and they have in fact reached the house of Yashwant Verma, Justice Yashwant Verma. They will be collecting evidence and inspecting the scene where the alleged money was found after there was a fire on March 14th. Now it will be very important to see that how this investigation turns out. But today, in a big development, it is in fact to be seen for the larger public can actually see that the process of investigation is on, and the judges panel has now today visited for the first time the home, the residence where the cash was found, burnt cash, the debris of the burnt cash was in fact found. Now it will be very important to see that how the investigation folds from here.
That's right. Also, we are seeing how there is so much resistance, at the Allahabad High Court. The Bar Association clearly saying that they would not let Justice Verma function. At this moment, what are you picking up, after the Collegium has said that it is the Allahabad High Court where he'll have to go back?
Yes, it is in fact for now the Supreme Court Collegium's decision would stand here, as they have recommended the transfer back to Allahabad High Court. The protest by protesting lawyers and the bars speaking up about demands of seeking a CBI inquiry or an ED complaint it stands that way only, because there is a procedure to investigate a sitting judge of a High Court and a Supreme Court that is in fact established by law and Supreme Court judgment of 1991. So keeping in mind all these things, the Supreme Court Collegium has now stuck to its decision of transferring him back to the Allahabad High Court. It will, however, come into effect only after Centre gives its nod to this.
Can I also, at this moment, understand from you, because the Delhi High Court Chief Justice has barred Justice Yashwant Verma from any judicial work. Will this ban also continue even if he's transferred back to the Allahabad High Court?
Well, of course, the investigation will continue. In fact, the reason behind transferring Justice Yashwant Verma to the Allahabad High Court is that for now, that while the investigation is pending, there can be no decision made on his impeachment or for that matter, for him to continue working. So now, the best course of action that the Collegium has considered is that sending him away from the place where the actual crime scene happened. And in fact, from Delhi, that since the reported incident occurred in Delhi, and also keeping in mind that despite that all the judicial work has been taken away from him, but he is still the second most highest judge in the Delhi High Court, which makes him part of the Delhi High Court Collegium. So it could not have been that he would remain to continue in that position. And to address these issues, the transfer has been made while the investigation is pending against him.
Right. Nupur, we are staying on this story. Ladies and gentlemen, let me once again, just stay on with me, Nupur, show you the visuals of the 3-member panel which visited the official residence of Justice Verma, the High Court, sitting High Court judge of the Delhi High Court, on whose official residence there was a large amount of burnt cash notes which were recovered. Now, Justice Verma has denied any wrongdoing. He has said that it was part of the outhouse, and his family doesn't know how that money in fact appeared at his residence. But what we know so far, that the Supreme Court has taken a stern view. There is a process involved as far as the impeachment of the judges or any investigation against them is concerned. Nupur continues to be with us. Nupur, just surprise our viewers. Who are the members of this panel which is investigating Justice Verma? And what are the guidelines given to them? By when are they expected to submit their report?
Well, first of all, Ankit, there is no particular timeline that has been laid out by the top court. The top court has, in fact, however, raised several very important questions that the panel will have to address. for example, the top court in its documents that were made public on Saturday night had in fact raised this question that there are many loopholes and unanswered questions. And in fact, they are seeking the answer to this, that who was the one who collected, who cleaned the cash, the burnt debris next day, that is on March 15th, as Justice Verma has categorically denied any knowledge of the said finding, and saying that he had in fact gone on record in his reply to the Delhi High Court Chief Justice and had said that this is in fact, he had denied all allegation and has said that when he reached the spot, he did not see any debris of cash. So there was outright denial on his part, but we have seen the video, we have seen the allegations, we have seen the pictures that were in fact made public by the Supreme Court, that were in fact submitted to it by the Delhi police. So it is very important that how the investigation panel that comprises of Justice Sheel Nagu from Punjab Haryana High Court, Justice G.S. Sandhavalia, Chief Justice of the High Court of Himachal Pradesh, and Justice Anu Sivaram, Judge of High Court of Karnataka. So it will be very important to see that how these judges conduct this inquiry and come to a conclusion as to what is the basis of these allegations, whether these allegations against the sitting judge holds any weight, or whether it is in fact a conspiracy, as Justice Verma has in fact claimed that he is being framed into a conspiracy. So it will be very important to see that how these three judges who are reportedly said to be having more than 10 years of experience in dealing with constitutional issues, it will be very important to see that how the investigation turns out, as all the three judges are in fact very highly experienced judges, and they are in fact, one of them is in fact a Chief Justice of a High Court. So it will be important to see how this whole investigation turns out. However, there is no timeline as such.
No timeline as such, but an important panel which is going to look into the alleged wrongdoings as far as this case is concerned. Nupur, also tell our viewers, those who are not, apprised of the way, there are actions taken against the judges. The judges are not, it's not that you can just walk into and demand inquiry against them, or an FIR could be registered, because that is also somewhere seen could be misused to put pressure on them. There are safeguards, constitutional safeguards for the judges. But Nupur, what entails, what happens when there are questions raised on judges? What is the process of investigation and, of course, of impeachment if there is any wrongdoing?
Well, first of all, our constitution has in fact ensured that there is independence of judiciary in India, and the judges function without any fear from the executive or any powerful person in India. So this is in fact basic principle of our constitution, that judiciary has to remain independent. And to ensure this independence, the constitution provides these safeguards that a sitting judge of a high court or a Supreme Court can only be removed by an order of the president based on the motion passed by both houses of the parliament. The procedure of removal of a judge is in fact elaborated in the 1968 Act, and has detailed steps on how it can be initiated, impeachment can be initiated. So first of all, what we are seeing, that previously the Supreme Court had in fact said that they have initiated preliminary inquiry and has sought a report from Delhi High Court judge. Now, after Delhi High Court Chief Justice submitted their report, the Supreme Court has initiated next level of inquiry. The Supreme Court Collegium, after completing its inquiry, will in fact recommend to the Parliament that what is the outcome, will submit its report, and after that the Parliament will decide if they want to move a motion inside the Parliament for impeachment of a judge, and there will be voting from both houses, and after that is passed, then it will have to be approved by the President of India. So that is how there is a very long procedure to make sure that a judge is impeached. And these all safeguards that people are saying that there is no FIR, there is no ED case, no CBI case, these are there so to ensure that judiciary functions independently without any fear.
Stay on with me. Let's, because what you are seeing on the screens, ladies and gentlemen, is a member, part of the panel which has been constituted by the Supreme Court to look into various questions and which have been raised as far as this entire case is concerned. Remember, the Supreme Court, in an unprecedented move, had also made public the video of the cash which was burnt and also, in fact, the reply which was given by Justice Yashwant Verma to the Supreme Court Collegium when he was asked these questions about this large amount of cash which was recovered from his residence. Nupur, thank you for joining us at this moment. Ladies and gentlemen, we are moving on to the other big story that we are tracking at this moment. On Saturday, an innocent life was lost due to an alleged harassment in a Kerala college. A third-year nursing student who attempted suicide in her hostel room in December last year died on Sunday after being in coma for more than 3 months. Chaitanya Kumari, 20 years old, had tried to take her own life after alleged harassment by the hostel warden. The student was a native of Kerala's Kottayam and was studying at the Manzoor Hospital and School of Nursing. According to officials, Chaitanya had gone out and came back unwell one day when the warden Rajani scolded her. The student was then denied food and water by the warden. She attempted suicide on December 7th when she slipped into coma. The chorus for justice grows louder as her death has triggered massive protests by fellow students, parents and other organizations. Students allege that they faced a prison-like condition in the hostel. Warden Rajani even denied food and water when the student was unwell. Students also claim the case is not an isolated one. While the police have booked the warden, there is growing pressure to upgrade the charges and hold the institution accountable as well. The larger question remains, ladies and gentlemen, will her death lead to real change, or will it, in fact, the system fail yet another life? While the strict hostel rules are now under scrutiny, family is going to perform the last rites today.
I'm reporting live from North Kerala, where yet another case has resurfaced where a student succumbed to institutional neglect. We are talking about the 20-year-old Chaitanya who attempted a suicide almost months back, last year in December 7th. And then she went into coma for almost 3 months, and she finally passed away on Sunday. And today, the family members of Chaitanya performed their her final rites. And if we talk about the case, we know that the warden has been booked for wrongful restraint and intimidation. Her friends, Chaitanya's friends, allege that the warden has been mentally harassing and torturing her in the last couple of days. And right now, I am joined by the family members of Chaitanya to understand better the situation of Chaitanya in the last, in her final days, and also where the investigation is heading at. सर, आप चैतन्य जी के अंकल हो, आप हमें ये बताइए, इनसे भी पूछिए, उनकी मम्मी है, पिताजी है, आप हमें ये बताइए कि वार्डन के अगेंस्ट क्या क्या एलिगेशंस रहा है, और इंस्टीट्यूशन जो है मंजूर हॉस्पिटल, वो हॉस्पिटल ने कितना हेल्प किया है पेरेंट्स को?
അവർക്ക് ഹോസ്പിറ്റൽ വരെ അവർക്ക് ബാറിന് എന്താ ഇതാക്കി അവർ നിങ്ങൾ എന്ത് പ്രശ്നം ചെയ്തു പെണ്ണിനോട്? वो बाहर है ना, वो बच्चे के बहुत झगड़ा किया, बच्चे के पास झगड़ा किया बहुत हैं।
वार्डन ने झगड़ा किया चैतन्य के साथ, किस बारे में झगड़ा किया?
എന്ത് പറഞ്ഞിട്ടാ? बच्ची क्या है ना, थोड़ा बीमार आया, अब बीमार के बारे में उसका साथ दोस्त लड़की लोग है ना, लेडीज वाला, वो लेके गया हॉस्पिटल में। अब उधर नहीं दिया ना, उधर वार्डर बहुत वो झगड़ा किया इसका साथ, इसके लेके गया उसका है हॉस्पिटल, क्यों लेके गया हमको तो नहीं बोला, ऐसा झगड़ा किया उसका साथ, अगर इसका मारने के लिए गया लड़की के साथ, बच्चे के साथ। वो बहुत बात नहीं करता, वो ऐसा वाले है, कुछ बोला रोता है, ऐसा वाले बहुत ताकत वाले नहीं है, बहुत मुश्किल है, वो वो वाला
सेंसिटिव है
हाँ सेंसिटिव है बहुत ही मैंने आ भाग उसका
आप बोल रहे हो कि Chaitanya was not doing well. She was sick, and her friends took her to the hospital late at night. And the warden created a scene because she was late in arriving back to the hostel. And then she started mentally harassing her and stopped giving her food and water. This is what he's trying to say. और ये चीज़ बताइए, जब उन्होंने सुइसाइड किया, अटेम्प्ट किया सुइसाइड का, तब इंस्टीट्यूशन ने क्या किया? इंस्टीट्यूशन ने कैसे हेल्प किया लास्ट 2-3 മਹੀനെ में?
ഈ ഹോട്ടൽ മൻസൂർ ഹോസ്പിറ്റലിൽ അവർ ഇതിനെ കൂടി എത്ര ഹെൽപ്പ് ചെയ്തെന്ന് അവിടെ കൊണ്ടുപോകാനും പിടിക്കാനൊക്കെ അവർ अच्छा पैसा कितना दिया हैं 20 लाख के ऊपर उसका खर्च किया 20 लाख का ये 3 हॉस्पिटल में ये मांगलोर कन्नूर 20 लाख के ऊपर खर्च किया वो लोग हॉस्पिटल वाला ऐसा बोला अभी പിന്നെ खाने के पैसा उसको दिया वो लोग दोनों है ना हमारा भाई है उसका भाई के वो औरत हॉस्पिटल में रहता है वो खाने का पैसा भी दिया वो रूम पकड़ कर दिया हॉस्पिटल वाला हैं
और अभी of course he's trying to say that Chaitanya, she was hospitalized thrice almost, and the hospital charges amounted to almost 20 lakhs rupees. 20 lakh rupees, and the Manzoor Hospital and School of Nursing, that hospital where she was studying, that hospital bore all the cost of the medical treatment that she underwent.
Now, this is a very serious matter, ladies and gentlemen, and NDTV is putting the spotlight on this. Hopefully that no other student will have to go through the ordeal that Chaitanya went through. My colleague Uma Sudhir and Shreya continues to be with us. Shreya is at the police station where this case has been registered. Uma is just giving us perspective largely on this story as well. Shreya, let me come to you first to get a sense of the ground. You spoke to the parents. Distraught parents. In fact, I was reading, and she was the only child who they were able to, in fact, send for higher studies. Her siblings were not that fortunate, and now to deal with this kind of an ordeal.
Well, absolutely, Ankit. The parents are utterly overwhelmed with grief, and they were telling us how they belong to a very humble background in Kottayam. They're a native of Kottayam, and she's survived by her younger brother, and she was studying nursing. And this kind of an unfortunate incident took place. And right now, we are trying to understand the case better as to how the investigation is heading at. And we spoke to the deputy superintendent of Hosdurg police station, where we are right now. We spoke to him, and he said that the investigation is underway. They have taken the oral testimonies of the parents, relatives, teachers. Some are yet to be taken, the verbal testimonies, and once they get the concrete evidence for abatement of suicide, then the police will act accordingly. But for now, the case has been registered under unnatural death, but the investigation is still ongoing. The main demand of the parents, especially the mother who is mourning right now, her only demand is that the warden, Mr. Rajani, the warden, should be arrested. He has been booked right now under the charges of intimidation and wrongful restraint. And let me tell you where we are right now. He lives in this very area in 5 to 6 kilometers radius. This is where he lives. We'll try and see if we can speak to him as well. The mother was of course distraught, and she kept saying that she wants to question the warden as to why he did what he did. As per the allegations, as you heard, Chaitanya, she was a soft-spoken, sensitive person, as that's what her family members were telling us. She was a sensitive person, and she was allegedly targeted by Rajani after she came back home, came back to the hostel late at night one day. We are talking about last year in the month of December. That is when things got worse, and as per the allegations of friends and the family, it was the warden who pushed her and pressurized her, and that is when she attempted suicide in that very hospital. She was a third-year student, merely 20 years of age, and when she attempted suicide, we saw widespread protest there. All the student organizations, SFI, ABVP, they protested that in these private nursing institutes, these strict rules need to be questioned. And at this point in time, we are trying to understand how this investigation will proceed. Will the institution take any accountability? The institution has in fact suspended Rajani, but does the story end there or not? We are trying to chase the institution authorities as well.
Uma, let me bring you in because it is also generating a lot of political heat. People are asking for systematic change, just not a warden being punished. Of course, people are asking for charges to be upgraded as far as this warden is concerned. But as Shreya was also pointing out, will there be accountability fixed on the part of the institution as well?
Ankit, three things that we must look at here. The parents or the family of the victim, Chaitanya, have also said that she was a soft-spoken person, someone who was very, very sensitive, and therefore it does does point our attention or focus to the fact that she may have required counseling and support and help as well. And in a country where we are looking at youngsters going out into the world and getting education, whether it's a girl or a boy moving from a rural background, from their own home to these hostels, they require that kind of a support structure, and very clearly that was not present in this particular case. Second is the alleged wrongdoing on the part of the warden Rajni, and we have seen in the protest that happened 3 months ago in the month of December that other students also alleged that they had also been subjected to similar kind of a harassment, as they called it, against the warden itself. But what I want to point out is that hundreds of hostels we talk about, where we saw in Coimbatore itself the kind of a torture that one of the students was subjected to by another student. What kind of people are manning or being appointed to these kind of posts where they're supposed to be caretakers, not just of the hostel and the facilities, but also in a sense of the mental health of these people, and what kind of counseling is available? What I understand from my sources is that in this particular case, there is not really any substantive evidence to suggest that Rajni should be blamed, or yes, the fingers are being pointed at her, saying that she may have been a trigger point. But obviously, people are pointing out that people who are appointed, the person who's appointed to be in charge of a hostel or even in a college, the management, the person who is supposed to look after students' welfare, whether their own mental health is of such a nature or state, was that tested before they were appointed a post, and whether there is any kind of an institutional mechanism where you can address these kind of issues, because very clearly, not just Chaitanya, but other students also seem to be having some problem with the manner in which the warden has handled this issue. But there seems to be no mechanism through which they could have approached the authorities and pointed out that we are feeling harassed and we require help on these issues, and how is that to be accounted for? That is something that perhaps all hostels and institutions that are looking after young people will have to put in some kind of institutional mechanism where they can address the issues, and that has to be someone who is not actually in charge of ensuring that the students get the best of facilities or are ensured to be comfortable. There has to be an outside mechanism which is able to address these kind of structural issues.
Thank you for joining us with all those details at this moment. Uma Sudhir and Shreya reporting on this story. Let's also listen into some reactions, ladies and gentlemen, which are coming in on this story.
Congress MP from Koikor, MK Raghavan, is with me. So there has been a demand of justice for the nursing student that committed suicide and died. She clearly blamed the warden, the hostel authorities, that it was a prison-like situation over there. How do you see such stringent action? Do you think that stringent action should be taken against those whosoever are culprit in this case?
See, this student, I think she is committed for suicide due to the harassment by the warden. See. So I think government should take a stringent action against that who is culprits. Should take action against that culprits. No, see. So what can I do for that? Differently, I'll be done it.
Sir, also there is the family members who are saying that the warden should be arrested as soon as possible because she is the one who's responsible.
Yeah, no, see, this is not in my constituency. See, the Mansoor Hospital, nursing hospital belongs to Kasur Lok Sabha constituency, not in my constituency.
Okay.
So I think definitely this is a humanitarian case. So definitely we will take up this case with the concerned government and the officials. Definitely. So just before I mentioned about this case, what can I do for this? I will done it here.
Thank you so much for speaking to us. So that was Kozhikode MP, MK Raghavan speaking to NDTV. P. Santosh is with me, sir. From Kerala, a saddening story came out. A third-year-old nursing student committed suicide 3 months back. She attempted that suicide. She went in coma, and finally she took her last breath. But certainly she alleged that the warden and the hostel was like prison. The warden used to torture her, and due to which she committed suicide. How do you seek justice for that girl?
It's heartbreaking to know that a young girl had to commit suicide. I stand with the family of the girl and the student community. Even in Kerala, these types of incidents are taking place. It's quite unfortunate to note. And these hostel wardens and so-called authorities act as superpowers. This should not happen. We have to save the life of our upcoming generation. These are the assets of the country. And as a Keralite, I am a bit shameful on seeing this incident. We stand with the family and her family. She should just get justice. And suicide is no solution. But even then, professional students are also forced to commit suicide. We need more awareness campaign also. But at the same time, these types of atrocities against the student should not be continued.
Mr. N.K. Premchandran, the recent incident of Chaitanya's death, she was a nursing student, and because of her warden's callous attitude towards her harassment, she has passed away. What do you think are the learnings from this? What kind of action should be taken?
Stringent action has to be taken against the concerned authorities, in particular the warden, because it is because of the harassment. And so many students have complained also, such type of incidents have already there. And this girl, Chaitanya, third year BSc nursing student, committed suicide, attempted to commit suicide, and 3 months she was in hospital in coma stage and finally died. So the entire responsibility is with the authorities. Such type of harassment has to be avoided in the college hostels. And further, there are so many like incidents are happening in the state of Kerala, that too in the medical field. One side there was ragging. In Kottayam itself, another ragging incident has took place. It was very, you can see that we cannot even imagine of such incidents. And same thing has happened, similar thing has happened in the district of Wayanad. And series of incidents, very unfortunate incidents are happening in college hostels and colleges, because there is no concerned authorities who are controlling all these things. And here it is absolutely because of the harassment. This is the statement made by the students of the nursing college, that because of the harassment, this girl has attempted to commit suicide. So definitely stringent action has to be taken against the concerned authorities, and also to see that, ensure that such incidents will never happen in the college campuses and in the hostels.
Thank you so much, Mr. Premchandran, sir.
Slipping into a very short break at this moment. News and updates on the other side. Stay tuned.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Edge 50 Pro, world's first AI-powered pro-grade camera.
All right, NDTV speaks to Chaitanya's family. Family recounts 3-month ordeal, says needs strict action against the warden. BJP MP and actor Kangana Ranaut speaks on the Kunal Kamra controversy, says action against Kamra legal. BMC officials start another round of demolition at the venue where comedian Kunal Kamra performed. Delhi government presents 1 lakh crore budget for the national capital, 500 crore allocated for Jammu cleaning.
ये आपकी रक्षा के लिए और ये आपकी रक्षा के लिए।
अरे ये क्या है?
ये आपकी रक्षा के लिए और ये घर की रक्षा के लिए।
न जले न पिघले, घर घर को सेफ बनाएं। अपार अणुशक्ति फायर प्रोटेक्ट वायर।
How often have you turned away from debates that descend into endless fights? We bring you a show where every question is answered, where every debate finds its resolution, where every story finds its conclusion, where opinions collide but facts prevail, where stories unfold with insights and trust. When the noise ends, the last word begins.
One of your primary concerns and one of your primary responsibilities is to deal with the threat of terror. And at the moment, we see a great deal of that out of Yemen. We see attacks on shipping taking place, and we see the United States being very much on the offensive. Is that a prelude for something larger, perhaps even a ground offensive going forward?
I mean, you look at President Trump's leadership going back through his first term as president, he has been and remains very committed to combating and defeating the threat of Islamist terrorism that not only affects the United States, the American people, our own safety and security, but it is affecting so many people in different parts of the world. We can see different terrorist groups, the Houthis in Yemen being one of them, that President Trump has redesignated after President Biden took them off of the terrorist list, redesignated them appropriately as a terrorist organization, and taking action where the previous administration failed to.
Right.
The Houthis have been disrupting maritime trade and passage for a very long time, and no serious effort has been taken to stop that disruption. Our country and other countries should not be in a position to have to make a decision to reroute commerce going through that area simply because of the Houthi threat that exists. So President Trump has taken decisive action for our own safety, security, and prosperity. And I know we'll look to other affected countries, as there are many who are impacted by this, to similarly take action.
I've been reporting on all issues, big and small, from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital, Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
The India-US strategic partnership is one that's been developing now over the last several decades, and there's a great sense of optimism over here in India that it is headed in a particular direction. To tell us a little bit about that, and there are so many important global events taking place, Tulsi Gabbard with us, the Director of National Intelligence. It's wonderful to have you here in India, and thank you so much for speaking to us. In terms of the strategic relationship and the intelligence arrangements between India and the United States, to what extent is it premised on perhaps an expansionist or an expanding China and the Asia-Pacific region?
You know, the ties between our two countries, the United States and India, go very, very far back. And so what we're continuing to see is a strengthening of that partnership and recognizing that the mutual interests of both of our countries are centered around peace, prosperity, freedom, and security. So now as we see a new administration coming in with President Trump's leadership in the United States, of course, Prime Minister Modi's long-standing leadership here in India, we have two leaders of our two great countries who are very good friends. and who are very focused on how we can strengthen those shared objectives and those shared interests.
So in a sense, it's taking forward what we already have in terms of the strategic partnership, and that's one of your primary goals, right?
It is.
And how were your meetings to that end?
It is. I've been having great meetings, and of course this began with Prime Minister Modi's visit to President Trump in Washington, D.C., very shortly after he was inaugurated back into office for a second term, where they really set the tone and set the vision for where a stronger U.S.-India partnership and friendship can lead to. And so my visit here is really predicated on the work that has already been done, and I've been having great conversations with my counterparts here in the Indian government. I just met with the Minister of Defense a few minutes ago, and looking forward to visiting with Prime Minister Modi here later today.
And you met the Prime Minister in Washington as well some time back. How did that go? I mean,
it was,
we saw the pictures.
It was great. I had the opportunity to meet him several years ago. It was good to see him again, and it was actually...
So breaking news coming in at this moment, Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis of Maharashtra has once again spoken on the Kunal Kamra controversy and has once again hit out at the Shiv Sena Uddhav Thackeray and has said that the entire assembly united against what the comedian has done except Sena UBT MLAs. Let me go across to my colleague Anuj, who's joining us with more details at this moment. Anuj, the message, at least from the government, is very clear that they are against what Kunal Kamra has said, and this is also being now used to hit out at political opponents.
Well, yes, before I get to that, just to clarify, today they took a discussion on various issues, be it mostly the law and order situation here in the state at length, and then when in his vote of thanks, when Chief Minister was speaking, considering that this is the second last day of the assembly session, when he was speaking about treatment of the house by certain leaders, that is when he made a reference to, a poem being posted by Sushma Andhare, who is a member of the UBT party. She's a leader of that party, and she repeated the controversial poem because of which Kunal Kamra is in the middle of all these controversies. And while putting focus on that, Chief Minister and Home Minister Devendra Fadnavis said that even after discussing this matter at length and having some sort of consensus in this house, especially amongst the ruling parties, we can see that there is another opinion coming from outside the assembly of a member from the UBT party, which is demeaning and disrespecting the status and the opinions of those sitting inside the house. This is exactly what Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis said. When we talk about the political reaction on this matter, we had Eknath Shinde stating very clearly that he does not support the kind of vandalizing that took place a day before yesterday, but he also in a way validated or defended his party workers, saying that it is an emotional reaction and he may not have reacted emotionally, but he cannot guarantee the same thing about his political workers. Be it Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis or Yogesh Kadam, who is the MOS of Home Department here in Maharashtra, both of them have stated it in very clear terms that stringent action will be taken against Kunal Kamra, but we need to still wait and watch out for the procedural action being taken by Mumbai police. We know that a summons was sent to him, knowing that he is not in the state, he is in Tamil Nadu, in Pondicherry to be very specific at this moment. So summons was sent to him via WhatsApp, and he was called to record his statement at 11 a.m. in Khar police station. He failed to do that considering the distance, and the other issues. So one can expect more such summons to be put in place in the next few days. But the entire procedure of the police action and the judicial action will only kickstart once there is the statement recorded by Kunal Kamra by the Mumbai police here.
Thank you for joining us with all those details at this moment. The Chief Minister hitting out at Sena UBT, staying with this story amid the uproar over the Shiv Sena workers' vandalism at the Mumbai studio to protest Kunal Kamra's remarks against party chief Eknath Shinde. The city's civic body has carried out another round of demolition inside the studio, citing a violation of rules. The BMC staff reached the studio in Khar for the second day and carried out demolitions. Meanwhile, BJP MP have, Kangana Ranaut and others have also spoken on this issue. This is the second day of the demolition. We are getting you these visuals, ladies and gentlemen, of the place where this, act did take place, where Kunal Kamra performed, and now it is under the hammer of the BMC for the second day.
That's right, second day of demolition drive at the Habitat Studio by BMC officials. In fact, yesterday they had pulled down some portions of what they called illegal structure. Here I'm going to show you the studio, the hotel where the studio is at this point. Of course, BMC officials are inside. It is happening on the upstairs portion as well as on the basement is what we are being given to understand. There are at least about 5 to 6 officials who entered the premises, entered this particular hotel and the studio with hammers for the second time. You can see a number of police officials at the spot, and upstairs as well there is a structure that has been demolished. It's a door space that has been demolished there, and similarly a shed, a temporary shed has been taken away because that's illegal is what BMC officials were telling us. And besides that, there is a basement space which is also illegal, and therefore that may also be taken away, and a terrace space which is a studio space where there is a sit-in area that could also be demolished. So as far as BMC officials are concerned, they continue to tell us that they've been receiving a lot of complaints of this particular place, and it has really nothing to do with what happened with Kunal Kamra's performance, which is hard to believe at this point. But you know, they have been comparing, they've been conducting inspections since yesterday, and they've been comparing the building's original blueprint with the construction that has happened, because looks like multiple extensions have taken place which are unauthorized as well as illegal, which the BMC is trying to take down. Yesterday, of course, soon after the controversy broke out, we know that this place was shut down. The organizers, the event owners did come out with a statement saying that they are being unfairly targeted, but they will shut the studio. Soon after that, the BMC swung into action, and they've been demolishing multiple portions of this particular studio where Kunal Kamra performed, calling them illegal and unauthorized.
On comedian Kunal Kamra, Bharatiya Janata Party MP and actor Kangana Ranaut has also in fact given her reaction. She said, "What are the credentials of the people who insult and defame someone for 2 minutes of fame?" Defending the demolition carried out at the hotel where the gig was filmed, Kangana Ranaut said it was done legally, but added the demolition of her bungalow was illegally done. Remember, it was in fact called by the BJP and people those who support Kangana Ranaut death of democracy when her bungalow was targeted by Shiv Sena Uddhav Thackeray government, and on the other hand, now Kangana Ranaut says that what is happening with Kunal Kamra is absolutely fine.
जिस तरह से वो मजाक उड़ा रहे थे मेरा, और कहीं ना कहीं उस जो मेरे साथ हादसा किया गया था इलीगली, उसका मजाक उड़ा रहे थे, तो आई थिंक कहीं ना कहीं मैं उस हादसे को इस हादसे से बिल्कुल नहीं जोड़ूंगी, क्योंकि वो एक इलीगल था जो काम किया था। ये जो है लीगली, आप कोई भी हो, लेकिन किसी का जो है अपमान करना, उसकी अपकीर्ति करना, देखिए जो लोगों ने आप चाहे सरकार देखिए, सत्ता देखिए, जिस इंसान के पास उसकी इज्जत ही सब कुछ है, आप जो है कॉमेडी के नाम पर उनकी इज्जत उछाल रहे हैं, उनकी अपकीर्ति कर रहे हैं, उनके काम को डिसरिगार्ड कर रहे हैं। शिंदे जी जो है वो कभी किसी जमाने में रिक्शा चलाया करते थे, आज वो अपने दम पर इतना आगे आए हैं, और ये कौन उनके खुद की क्या क्रेडेंशियल्स है, कौन हैं ये लोग जो कुछ जिंदगी में कर नहीं पाए, जो जिंदगी में कुछ जिनका क्या, अगर मैं कहती हूँ अगर वो लिख सकते तो कुछ साहित्य में लिखिए, कॉमेडी कुछ किसी तरह का कुछ, क्या ये लिटरेचर में कुछ लिखते हैं क्या? इनकी जो जैसे हमारी फिल्मों में भी मैं कहती हूँ कि कुछ ना कुछ एक कॉमेडी को लेके डायलॉग राइटिंग होती है, स्क्रीन राइटिंग होती है, गाली गलौज करना कॉमेडी के नाम पर, हमारे ग्रंथों का मजाक उड़ाना कॉमेडी के नाम पर, लोगों का मजाक उड़ाना, माताओं बहनों का मजाक उड़ाना। अभी आपने देखा किस तरह के ये इन्फ्लुएंसर्स आजकल खुद को कह रहे हैं। तो मैं कहती हूँ कि हमारा समाज कहाँ जाता जा रहा है, इन्फ्लुएंसर ये जो एक 2 मिनट की फेम के लिए कहाँ जाता जा रहा है, ये हमें सोचना है। और ये एक अच्छी बात है कि कहीं ना कहीं जैसे फडणवीस जी ने भी कहा कि हमें कहीं ना कहीं एक रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी लेनी पड़ेगी। हम जो कह रहे हैं किसके बारे में, जब उसकी रेपरकशंस होती है, जब लीगली आपको पूछा जा सकता है, डू यू स्टैंड बाय दैट?
लगता है कि उन्होंने जो भी मतलब उन्होंने गीत गाया है, जो उन्होंने कॉमेडी की है, उसमें माननीय एकनाथ शिंदे जी माजी मुख्यमंत्री, अभी के डिप्टी मुख्यमंत्री है, उनका भारी अपमान हुआ है और उनके ऑफिस की तोड़फाड़ भी हो चुकी है। बहुत बड़ा रोष महाराष्ट्र में है और इसीलिए उन्होंने माफ़ी मांगनी चाहिए। अगर वो माफ़ी मांगने के लिए तैयार नहीं है उन्हें जेल में जाने की तैयारी उन्होंने रखनी चाहिए और उनको जल्दी जल्दी अरेस्ट करने की आवश्यकता है।
Anuj continues to be with us on this story, ladies and gentlemen, which is generating a lot of heat in Maharashtra. Anuj, you know, it was the same time when the demolition drive took place at Kangana's house. It was the BJP and other parties which called it the death of democracy. Freedom of speech is not absolute, it seems.
Well, yes, you see, quite funnily, one can look at how the position of both the parties or both the alliances has kind of interchanged, you know, on a topic which is very similar to one another. But in this case, you know, when you talk about demands being made by leaders, you know, be it MPs or MLAs from the ruling dispensation, and even if it is ministers or even chief minister for that matter, well, it can only be considered as an opinion of those in power. You know, we had Yogesh Kadam, as I said earlier, talk about how the call record details will be taken into consideration. They'll be very closely looking at, you know, the bank transactions that have taken place as far as Kunal Kamra is concerned, because they very clearly, you know, believe, and we heard Eknath Shinde speak a while back where he's like, there is some sort of a contract being given. You know, he used the word supari, meaning contract in this entire matter, and you know, clearly alleging that there is an involvement of either Congress party or mostly Shiv Sena UBT faction in this entire matter. But all of these things will only be legitimized once, you know, the legal proceedings on this start, when the judicial proceedings on this will start. What is important to understand is that in that entire video clip of 45 minutes, where, you know, a small clip is for Eknath Shinde, you know, there is no name that has been taken in that clip, although, you know, the words being used, the terminology being used is directly, you know, is directed at Eknath Shinde, given the kind of words that he's been described by his opposition, by the opposition in the state. You know, that will also play a very important factor. You know, it will also matter who takes over the case, what is the opinion of the judge, what is the opinion of the court, you know. But all of these things would require Kunal Kamra to record his statement first. We had several opposition leaders speak to us, mostly yesterday, not that much today. They talked about how whatever, you know, was said in that spoof song, in that parody song by Kunal Kamra, is something that has been an active part of political discourse here in Maharashtra for close to 2 to 3 years now, ever since Shiv Sena split. But why is it that only now is an action being taken by Shiv Sena? Is it because they see or they sense a non-political discussion over something that was mostly political for the first time? Is it because the image, you know, of Gaddar or of traitor that had kind of cleansed of Eknath Shinde in last 1.5 years, and that resulted in the massive success that his party received in the recently concluded state assembly election? Do they fear that it might come back again right before the civic poll elections, right before the BMC election? Are all the assumptions being made by the opposition parties? But the solidification will only happen once the law takes its own course, that is when the judicial process in this entire matter kickstarts.
Thank you so much for joining us with all those details. All right, let's move on, ladies and gentlemen, at this moment to West Bengal, where there is a showdown, in fact, in the parliament, where TMC MP's rash comments had sparked a huge controversy. Kalyan Banerjee's Dalali comment has got the BJP upset, and they have hit out at Kalyan Banerjee. Kalyan Banerjee said that Shivraj works for the rich, while the BJP hit back, saying Kalyan Banerjee is working as a dalal. BJP versus TMC on all this entire matter.
राजनीति से बात में कीजिए, पहले गरीब आदमी का सेवा कीजिए, तब ना होगा। गरीब आदमी के लिए कुछ नहीं कर रहा है। हम लोग भी इसलिए पार्लियामेंट में हमारा डिमांड रखा है। ये शिवराज चौहान जो है पूरा बड़ा लोग का दलाली करता है, रिच बैंक का, गरीब आदमी का कुछ नहीं करता है। इसलिए उसको मध्य प्रदेश से मुख्यमंत्री से हटा दिया था। कभी उधर गरीब आदमी के लिए नहीं किया है। ऐसा बड़ा लोग आदमी का ये दलाल है। शिवराज चौहान दलाल है, पूरा दलाल है।
यूनियन एमओएस एग्रीकल्चर भागीरथ चौधरी जी हमारे साथ हैं। सर, सब लोग बाहर आए, टीएमसी, डीएमके, कांग्रेस पार्टी, तमाम नेता बाहर आए और प्रोटेस्ट करने लगे। कल्याण बैनर्जी ने उसी वक्त कृषि मंत्री शिवराज सिंह चौहान को दलाल बुलाया और उन्होंने बार बार रिपीट किया उस चीज को, कहते कि आप लोग नहीं बोलेंगे तो मैं तो कहूंगा ही। इस तरीके की भाषा आपको लगता है किसी नेता के लिए, कृषि मंत्री के लिए उपयोग की जानी चाहिए, और क्यों करी?
मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि कल्याण बनर्जी कहीं पश्चिम बंगाल में वो कोई दलाल